This is Teachers Talk Radio, and you are listening live.
Good afternoon, listeners. Welcome back to the Saturday lunch show on Teachers Talk Radio with me, Famida Choudhary. Today's episode is one that speaks to every educator's core: reflection, purpose, and transformation. The action research advantage, turning reflection into impact.
This is Teachers Talk Radio, and you are listening live. Tune in live at ttradio.org, or to join in the conversation, download the Podbean app and search Teachers Talk Radio. Follow the hashtag TTRadio. Tune in, talk it out with Teachers Talk Radio.
Good afternoon, listeners. We are diving into action research, how teacher-led inquiry is reshaping classrooms, empowering educators, and influencing global practice. Yes, the title for my show is The Action Research Advantage, Turning Reflection into Impact. And I'm thrilled to be joined by two incredible guests for the first time on my show. And I have Philip Anderson, assistant professor at University of Birmingham, Dubai, and a leading voice in educational leadership, and Miss Neha, a dedicated educator and action researcher, presenting at the Action Research Network conference happening this month. Welcome, Neha. Philip has just informed me that he'll be a little late, but nevertheless, welcome, Neha, on the show.
Hi, good afternoon. Sorry, it's a good evening. Yeah. Thank
Yes,
you for
and
having me.
for my listeners in UK, it's good afternoon. That
Yeah.
is why, because my show happens as a lunch show, 1 p.m. But yes, in Dubai, it is good evening.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing me here, and I'm really excited to start up.
Same here, Neha. And without further ado, I would be starting in. But yes, oh, we have Philip back
Hello.
in the show. Hi, Philip. You're just on time. We just started off, and I had introduced both my spectacular guests for today. And this is the first time I'm having two guests on my show, and I'm
Oh,
really
wow.
excited.
Excellent. You can hear me okay?
Yes, you're clear.
Excellent. All
Yeah.
right.
So, Philip, I'm just going to start off with you quickly.
Sure.
And let's, just to begin with basics, I've just introduced the topic that we are, and the topic says action research advantage, turning
Yes.
reflection into impact. So, what exactly is this action research in education, and why is it gaining so much of attention globally?
Well, I'm glad it's gaining attention. Well, action research is all about practitioner research. So it's fundamentally it's what people have been doing since civilization began. People are curious about things. People are curious about their everyday experiences, and specifically about what we're doing in terms of teachers is all about practitioners looking inward, what they're doing, and just it's about intentional, systematic inquiry, looking at what they're doing and just trying to solve problems and looking at insights inside the classroom.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, as you mentioned, that, it's been done like, it's not nothing new. It's been done since a long time. It's
Yes.
just that I'm sure we've got a little more sharper and more, I'm definitely curious about things to solve problems and come up with solutions. So,
Yeah.
Neha, of course, I would just, we can just, get in between if you have anything to mention. But Neha, going over to you, you have just recently immersed yourself into an action research project, which I just read, and it really triggered the idea of getting you both on my show. So, how did does this actually, just started off, and how you went about it?
All right. So this is my second year with Philip. Joining. Hi, Philip. Hope you're
Hi,
doing
Neha. How you doing?
well. So the second
Virtual
year.
high five.
Yeah, you too. And this is my second year doing with him, and I really should say that he's a master planner of all of this, and really encourages the educators who come across for action research. Like he said, it's not about something which we did do earlier. It's something which we already doing a lot of things inside our school, inside the campuses, in the education sector. So for me, it really started as a thought of realization that currently, for my current topic about how fantastic framework currently we are working is IB. I'm currently working with IB curriculum. So it's a fantastic framework and even integrating technology across subjects. But something what was striking me was it is missing when it comes to consistency and impact. I'm sure when I have worked with British curriculum as well, I felt the same, that there is some inconsistency in the impact that we are looking up for the students to reach out their learning outcomes. So I did see some incredible moments like where students were fully engaged, driving their own learning, using tech creatively, and making global connections. But do I do find some isolated sparks and inconsistency in teaching approach. So this is where we got to learn as an educator. The area we do celebrate those powerful moments. Those are where our students are fully engaged and reaching out to their outcomes. So those I'm looking up and expecting out of this research was my aim was to make that powerful moments the norm, not that
Okay.
stress exemption. So that's how I my question started with how can I make sure that first quality teaching is not only for specific areas or specific lessons I'm doing, but how I can make it norm every class, every day. So that curiosity led me to again look up with action research in my new area, new topic to bridge those gaps.
That's amazing to know, Neha. I think, every educator definitely strives to, make their daily practice as an outstanding practice, or, aim at learning outcomes where children every day when they step out of their class, there is a new learning for them. And of course, they can apply it in their day to day life. So, looking at that perspective also, Philip, I would
Yeah.
want to know what is like the research process. How do you, if an educator, definitely there are books, there are a lot of direct what you say
Yep.
presentations would be available of how the cycle is. But when you
Yes.
say this has been happening, have you seen a change, or there have been an upgrade into the process itself?
It's an interesting question because it's almost a chicken and egg situation because teachers are actually educated into theory. Like they go through whatever university they go through and they learn about this theory, and then maybe somewhere along the line it they don't lose it, but they maybe they're maybe not as in they but maybe just don't feel they have the time to use it, but everything they do is embedded in theory, and that's the thing. Teachers are researchers, and teachers go through this cycle of research anyway. So this whole process that we've been going through, it's all about almost an awakening in making them realize that teachers are researchers. Teachers are already going through this cycle
Mhm.
and getting nurtured by what we do and going through a process where they can collaborate with somebody else, somebody from another school doing the same project, somebody from the University of Birmingham who can point them in the direction of a relevant theory, that they can just elevate themselves just to even just an incremental position to just make things a little bit better. And it's also it's awakening the fact that they even this small incremental change. Yeah, it's one incremental change in one school, but when you're part of a network of
Mhm.
now around 300 teachers making incremental change is incredibly powerful.
Absolutely. But when you say that, Philip, I'm just getting into this question in my mind. When we say, like, if for both, even Neha, does action research really lead to a substantial change? I mean, to say you might have started off with the thought process that yes, I want to look at this problem statement and come up with solution. But does it really happen, or is it just a professional development in disguise?
Well, if even if you're making a substantial change to one person's life, then you're making a substantial change. We have LSAs who are doing their action research projects with just two students, but
Absolutely.
that's a substantial change. You're changing people's lives, and then you're feeding that forward to more people. So we deal with human beings. So human beings, by their nature, the research is messy, and it's something that it won't be the same every year. Otherwise, we'd have a silver bullet that could make it all better. But you are whether you're making incremental, well, 30 people is small by research standards, but it's massive in just when you're making changes to lives and doing that through this process of action research. Sorry,
That's
I think I probably didn't answer the whole of your question.
Yeah, but I think that's such a compelling way to frame it, Philip, saying that, the number. It's like sometimes when I think of research also for even educators to just think, out of the box, it is not literally looking at an entire classroom. Of course, it is when you have, a cohort of students. But
Yeah,
as you mentioned, even the LSA who's looking at two students, and they are under her care, and some problem that she comes across and wants to go ahead and research about it, that's completely okay, and it's good to go to. Yes, Neha, I
mm,
think you have something to say.
Yeah, I was really absolutely agree to what Philip said. It's not just only on the documentation part. It's something that opportunity gives towards the teachers or educators. It's a platform. It's an opportunity where we collaborate. We do, as an educator, require a platform because outside of our school and everything, it's not, it's not a place where we can, as a collaboration, we can approach different schools or different educators from different backgrounds. So this researchers really provides us a platform where we can look up what is going well. It's a platform where we can reflect and come up with the great ideas.
So Neha, just throwing back this question to you again, like, I'm just thinking in your research journey itself, was there anything that just surprised you while you were doing it or executing it? Were there moments like your assumptions just shifted from one to another?
Yeah, that's a very tricky question, actually. And yeah, it's really, when it comes to the use of technology, it didn't always feel intentional and it was not consistently supporting deeper learning or inclusive practices. And when we talk about equity, we are talking about the ethical edtech tools integrations. I realized that we don't need all of them to use. We need the right tool for the right student. And also, when we are talking about inclusivity, we are talking about the 100% of participation of all the students in the classroom. So when I was trying to implement different wow and innovative tools, I realized we don't need all of them. So this is where I was very surprised that we as an educators are in rush of or hush of finding innovation all the time, but we are not looking up for our learning outcomes. There is a gap there then. So I realized that the gap is because we are too much on tech rather than student learning outcomes. So there
Philip,
should be a
hearing to
balance of both.
yeah, yeah, we need a balance of it. Philip, hearing on Neha's insight, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
oh crikey! I mean, how long have we got? Can
Come
you hear me
again.
all right? I mean, to me, like Neha, I mean, she's so I said one of the best things about the network is it's completely grassroots. You're looking at things that are real world because it's happening right now, and what she's talking about is something that's happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
There is a push. There's always been a push for ed tech for 20 years when that I've been teaching, and obviously that push is now going in the way of AI. And obviously, AI is there, and it's something that we have to recognize. But I do, from what she said, I do think that what she said is absolutely ringing true with me. There's an expression, putting the cart before the horse, and I see all these conferences saying AI and this, AI and that, but it should be the other way. It should be pedagogy and AI, and it should be whatever else and AI, because we should be looking at that first, and then think about how we bring AI into it. Because otherwise you're not looking at your students first. Because if you're looking at pedagogy first, then you're looking at your students first. But you're looking at AI first, then you're thinking about, oh, how can I shoehorn this tool into what I'm doing? Not to minimize the impact of what is happening with AI, but we have to do it from a more pragmatic perspective.
Okay, we are going to take a short break now, but stay with us. When we are back, we'll dive deeper into how action research empowers teachers to make ethical, inclusive, and lasting changes in their classroom. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned.
Need a smarter way to teach? Wish your lessons had more impact? Eduflix.com. Stream educational films for teachers and students in or out of the classroom. Keep students engaged. No ads. No distractions. Try it free for 30 days at eduflix.com/try. Use code TTR. Get 50% off all orders made before June 1st. Eduflix.com.
Hi secondary school teachers, we're Apps for Good, and we give schools like yours free introductory computing courses. Our courses are for everyone, including those who aren't computing teachers, and they're fully equipped with resources mapped to the UK computing curriculums. Independent learning is central to our courses. Your students will develop essential and digital skills by working in teams to create prototype apps. We'll even connect you with industry volunteers to give real-world feedback. Let's empower every young person you teach to shape their future with technology. Speak to us at www.appsforgood.org.
Did you know that every year, half of disadvantaged children who are top attainers at primary school don't go on to achieve top GCSE maths results? At Axiom Maths, we exist to change that. Our fully funded programme helps schools nurture young mathematicians through weekly face-to-face maths circles, where pupils tackle challenging and exciting problems outside the national curriculum. With just under £3,000 annual funding, expert training and quality resources, we give schools everything they need to inspire the next generation of mathematical thinkers. Want to make a difference? Visit axiommaths.com today and join over 400 schools delivering maths circles across the UK.
This show is brought to you in partnership with John Catt Educational, publishers of professional development books and resources that support great teaching and learning in schools around the world. Don't miss out. Level up your professional development today and visit johncattbookshop.com to explore the full range of titles. Use the code JCTTR2425 for 20% off your order.
Welcome back. You are listening to the Saturday Lunch Show with me, Famida Choudhary, on Teachers Talk Radio. Before the break, we explored how action research isn't just a theory, it's transformation in action. Let's now continue the conversation. Philip and Neha, welcome back. And just to continue with our conversation, I wanted to know, like, what really takes to embed research meaningfully into everyday teaching and how it translates into impact. Any one of you? Neha, Philip, are you there? I think you'll have to unmute yourselves.
Hello,
Yes,
hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me okay?
we can. Yeah.
Okay, I was speaking normally, but it's fine. Hello. So how schools build cultures of research, is that basically what the question was?
Yes. I just want, how we can embed research meaningfully into everyday teaching.
Yes. So obviously, one, as I mentioned before, make teachers realize that they're already researchers, and
Yeah.
it's not extra work. They're already finding out things, and this is something that is not like an extra PD, but it's something that they're already doing, and they just need to kind of enhance that. Um, School systems must actively kind of encourage mistakes and risk taking, and reflection. I remember my teacher training. It was all about reflection, and reflection is all about looking at yourself, looking at the things that you did wrong, looking at the things you did right, and then moving back on that. And that should just be encouraged right up until the top. If and In some places that can be quite difficult, and in some situations that can be quite difficult, just looking and seeing what you did wrong. When I do my first action research sessions, I always reference Socrates. Socrates said, if there's anything that I know, it's that I know nothing. Being humble and knowing that you do know nothing and that you've got more to learn is also something that needs to be encouraged. True growth comes from acknowledging what is working and what isn't working. Yeah, I mean that's the beginning anyway. I'll pass it over to Neha,
Absolutely. Neha, if any takes on this?
or I can keep talking if she can't.
Neha? Okay.
Can you hear me
I
now?
just,
I can
yes.
hear you now. Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah. The key is that keeping it meaningful, manageable, and collaborative between teachers, educators, senior leaders, and also across the school, between your students. Yes, feedback from the students, how well it is going, because it's all about their learning. So the feedback between them and the reflection part. So all it needs to start with the simple questions between the teachers, that how it is going and what should be our research during that academic year, and what we can focus really about to improvise our student learning and their needs. So that's what I think. That's It's not about only ongoing professional growth. It is a culture in the school that really imposes for the targets of the students' learning achievements.
But if teachers like are the best researchers of their own classrooms, as Philip just said,
Mm-mm.
I just feel, why are their voices still missing in like policy conversations? At times, if you see, executing it, like they might have found the problem, they want to execute something. How do you think we can amplify teachers voice through platforms like this action research? I know, like both of you are representing, especially Philip, who has thought of sorry Philip, I'm saying it's Philip only, right? Why is it
you can
showing?
call me Phil or Philip. It's absolutely
Yeah.
fine.
I was looking at the screen and I'm like,
My mum calls me Philip. So
okay, yeah. So, Phil, I'm just thinking of, how we can get this to support in schools, get this going to be supported in schools. I understand, like, how I was saying, you have come up with this idea of conference where teachers get an opportunity. But
yeah,
then again, though we say it's a part of learning and things, but I still feel, what is your take on this? I still feel that teachers'
I
voice is something that
yeah
needs that platform.
I have a very optimistic outlook. There are people like Neha. There are people. I mean, she can vouch for it herself. Everyone who's on the network with us are just very collaborative, positive, like generous people, and they
Hmm.
are all out there. And if any teachers are there, I remember myself coming over here. There it is quite isolating when you first come to Dubai, and there's very individualistic culture here, and you get that with the private schools, and that's just that's the nature of where it is. But there are people who are just very selfless and generous, and they are out there, and there are some also some obviously the Action Research Network, but there are also places. Al Qasimi Foundation in Ras Al Khaimah. They have lots of things in place where teachers and educators can um, highlight some of their work. That you've got is it GCAS? I can't actually remember but Al Qasimi Foundation are linked to it. But the GCAS conference that happens, and there are all these conferences and things that happen, and I guess it's because there are lots of conferences. I wouldn't go to the ones that charge you like thousands of dirhams, but there are. I've often gone to them thinking, "Oh my god, I've worked all week and I've now got to go. I've got my Friday afternoon free, but now I haven't got it free, and I've got to go to this thing in the afternoon. But then I've met all these people, and they're just all really nice people, and they want to collaborate. And teachers are time poor, but there are these mechanisms in place, and I would encourage people to go and seek them out. Obviously, come to the Action Research Network because it's me. But if you can't do that, just look around you. They are there, and if you are feeling isolated, just try and reach out to one of these different institutions and places that are there.
That's a great. But I was just thinking of just out of the box idea right now. Like, what if we have a kind of a website where people could just post in their research, and it's like a universal standardized thing, so people can
Absolutely.
view it and maybe at their own. As you all know, I'm sure you agree with me that how teachers are involved into different things on a day-to-day basis, but maybe they are not available to attend something on that day, but
Yeah.
might as well
Well,
just have a platform, because we look into technology, use of technology. So a platform where we have a culmination, or of all these researches, because as we are dealing with, as you said, humans, and we have so many things to explore, so these could be really helpful.
absolutely, absolutely.
And to our listeners, we are going on with such an inspiring conversation so far. It's just in case if you have any questions, please do drop in, and we can try and answer those questions. If not, we would be posting it, on our page later. But yes, going forward, Neha, I would want to ask you that I'm sure, how would you have balanced like the demand of regular teaching with carrying out the meaningful research? I'm sure educators listening would have this question in their mind.
Yeah, like you said, balancing. When it comes to it is really for me, it's not like a PD session or something which comes on professional growth, but it like we discussed, teachers are the best researchers of our own classrooms. We do observe, we do adjust, we do testing strategies, and we do lots of things with our students within our school. To our previous question, I would also add up why the teacher voices have been missing in the policies. The reason is there is no room for the teachers where they can gather much on a larger pace, where they can collaborate. We do have meetings, we do have a complete setup, but there is no teacher-led inquiry as formal evidence. And in that case, we are not tracking what is really going on different subjects or with different level of students within the classroom. We do track as in data, but the teacher's voice, what are they thinking, has been not been there is no formal evidence which can be recorded as in documentation, or where teacher can go and speak up for themselves and speak about what they feel about students well-being or students development within that classroom. So this opportunity of action research has really helped, where we do collaborate with different educators are from different backgrounds. Like Philip said, there are teachers coming from Russell Khaimah. We do have from Abu Dhabi, me myself from Dubai. We do have from Sharjah. So there's all different areas where we try to come to a place where we discuss what is really going well, so that we can try it in our best practices in our own schools as well. So these platforms are really helpful. And when we talk about balancing or so, it's just as now AI has really given you a lot of opportunities where you can, track or create a tracker for yourself. You just put it down, what things are going well, what my students are talking about, what is the feedback given, what's my reflection during that session is happening, and the strategies which I am applying, which one is the best one, which is not required to that session. This all the tracking, when you organize things for yourself, I think it becomes really easier. So it's nothing something which you're doing out of the box and going and doing it around. So action research, when it comes to buy, Philip, when he arranged, he made it very flexible. We are doing it online hybrid, and after COVID, We do got a very interesting concept of doing it online sessions, and then at the same time we go and meet up. We do have meetups, physical meetups. So this is what, flexibility is there. It's not like mandatory you have to do it, but wherever your free space, you want to try up something different, you're going to learn there. So that's what I mean. So this is how it helps around.
Absolutely. I really admire the things we are doing when it comes to presenting. As you said, it was the freedom was there to either do it online or have it done at, like, in how you're going to be doing it coming up end of this month. So I'm really looking forward for this. But moving forward, I yet want to have some more conversations on action research, looking
Mhm.
at, like, addressing basically global priorities, maybe like sustainability or well-being in education. Do you think that of course, while teaching, we might come across some problems and we might think of going ahead of doing it, and that's the actual way of conducting an action research. But um, do at times we look at certain things that are there globally and then look at our perspective and give it a try of if we want to experiment or take risk on conducting a research in that context?
Who's this going to?
Yes,
Me?
Vilu.
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
Yeah,
So,
I just wanted to say that if we want to, I meant to say that if I'm going to be teaching, right? So I
yes.
might come across a problem and I really want to go ahead with researching it and getting it into, experimenting it or taking risk. But I'm looking
Yeah.
at, do we look at topics which are maybe global priorities like sustainability or well-being and think of those sites as well, or it should be only pertaining to something that I'm teaching and I come across and go ahead with it? Like, what would
Yeah.
you suggest?
What I would suggest, again, I have to talk about the own action research network. We have expanded into schools where schools have created their own mini action research networks where everybody in there is doing it. I'm going to give some shout outs to some schools: Al Salam Community School, Al Rayaheen School, and Alain Rashid and Latifa School, and Gems World Academy. Um, they are looking inward and looking at all of these elements, and sustainability is part of it, and all of these other bits. And that's the whole point of collective communities of practice. You don't have to feel like you have to do everything on your own. It's not extra work, it's recognizing and supporting what good teachers are already doing and collaborating with them to create those kind of that collective impact. It's that collective empowerment to know that you're doing these things, because there's often, you, especially like looking at social media and all of that, you look at everything that's going on in the world and you're just thinking, oh my word, I can't do anything about any of this. I'm just, but if you look around you, if you look at your collective network, no, you can't solve all the world's problems, but collectively you can look at what other people are doing and at least see through that community of practice that we've all got our areas, and we're all collectively trying to do these things. Yeah, so you can't solve everything at once, but we should be working as communities rather than sitting in our classroom by ourselves and sipping our coffees and wondering what to do.
I love that what you said, collective momentum, basically collectively thinking of things, right?
Yes,
That's something so um profound, frankly speaking, because it's not about one teacher or one school. It's about getting different schools and getting it together and moving forward. And I think indirectly, when we deal with those problems in our day to day classes and take up those topics, it's indirectly going to serve global priorities, isn't it?
absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. But that's how it should work. We can't be trying to do it all by ourselves because we'll burn out. We need to work together and take those massive steps to make those conversations and reach out. And that's hopefully what Action Research Network is doing.
So, Neha, we have a lot of educators again listening to us. What tips would you want to give them when going ahead with an action research? Also, I would want you to suggest some time frames, like if you're doing it, how long it should be, you know, experimented or taken into action.
Yeah, the tips are very simple, to be honest. When it comes to research, it's within ourselves. It's just a reflection. It's about practitioner, researcher that we already are. It's basically come up with very basic statements like, how can I improve the student engagement, or how can I make my feedback more meaningful for the students. So these are the starting point, that those are reflection for yourself when you give a session into your class, a class to your students. And this question itself becomes your starting point on research. So just curiosity, reflection, and willingness to try something new, these three things I think will help any educator to start up a small, as an at the beginning level, to be a researcher. And then now comes up with how to balance out things. It's again, that's secondary part. It's just initiative that you have to start up. That's very important. The mindset, the biggest shift that you're looking up for your students' outcome, and the small strategies that you're applying itself becomes an action research question. So in my case, if you see, when I talked about ethical edtech tool, I was really thinking about, I'm using, honestly, in my subject I have been using computer. I thought, how can I make it balance? I've seen that gap. So to overcome that, then I thought, okay, let me just draft down this area as an action research for myself, which benefits my students. And I'm sure there in my school there are educators who are really willing to look up for strategies for edtech tools, then how they can find right tool for that right session. So that was my aim, so that 100% learning outcome can be noticeable. It's not first day thing, but it eventually helps you. So action research is where we do mistakes. We have to do mistakes, and we have to learn from those mistakes. So that's a very big point that we have to remember, that it's not just a 1 week thing. It starts from the right moment that you started your academic year. The whole year you've been looking up, you're making mistakes, you're checking with your teachers, you're collaborating with your school, across the school departments, and you're checking up on your students' feedback, student voices, student learning outcomes, their data, and your data, and speaking one to one to them. This is how things work well, as in form of action research. So most importantly, sharing your learning. It's very important that we have to be very open, and we have to come up with wider audiences. That would be your entire school. Because when teachers lead inquiry, we just don't improve practice, we transform it, being an educator. So that's very important, that we do learn, we do make mistakes, and then learn from it again. So that's how it works. It's just a process that we only do it at last, is just we document at last that these all things we have done, and we have come to some conclusion. Research, action research, is usually for me, it's for everybody, for every educator, is something which you have might have improvised on your current stage. Maybe I am now a 10% better person, at least a 10%. That's what I expect every year. So
Oh, such a
20.
powerful way to put it,
yeah.
Neha. Like, I really like the way you said curiosity, reflection, and most importantly, willingness. So, like, it's really simple, It's not literally writing about a thesis, but, asking better questions about like our own classrooms, our learners, and what impact it has, as you said, even making yourself 10% better. Every teacher, and you also mentioned that as an educator itself, we have an inner researcher. It's just that, you're waiting to be awakened or something, and going ahead and executing it. What say, Philip?
Um, yeah, I mean, you don't. I wouldn't. try and make yourself 10% better. Just make yourself better. Just give yourself. I mean, as a qualitative researcher mainly, I wouldn't try and put some kind of figure on what you want to make yourself better by. You just try and just make some kind of, just know that as a teacher that you are making changes in people's lives anyway, just by being a teacher, and then just try and problem solve
Problem.
where you're what you're doing in your classroom. Was the question to do with how no how you can embed action research, or is just how you can just
Yeah. So it's been an inspiring discussion so far with Philip and Neha on the power of reflective teaching and action research. Stay with us. We'll be right back after the short news break on Teachers Talk Radio.
Need a smarter way to teach? Wish your lessons had more impact? Eduflix.com. Stream educational films for teachers and students in or out of the classroom. Keep students engaged. No ads. No distractions. Try it free for 30 days at eduflix.com/try. Use code TTR. Get 50% off all orders made before June 1st. Eduflix.com.
Hi secondary school teachers, we're Apps for Good, and we give schools like yours free introductory computing courses. Our courses are for everyone, including those who aren't computing teachers, and they're fully equipped with resources mapped to the UK computing curriculums. Independent learning is central to our courses. Your students will develop essential and digital skills by working in teams to create prototype apps. We'll even connect you with industry volunteers to give real-world feedback. Let's empower every young person you teach to shape their future with technology. Speak to us at www.appsforgood.org.
Did you know that every year, half of disadvantaged children who are top attainers at primary school don't go on to achieve top GCSE maths results? At Axiom Maths, we exist to change that. Our fully funded program helps schools nurture young mathematicians through weekly face-to-face maths circles, where pupils tackle challenging and exciting problems outside the national curriculum. With just under £3,000 annual funding, expert training and quality resources, we give schools everything they need to inspire the next generation of mathematical thinkers. Want to make a difference? Visit axiommaths.com today and join over 400 schools delivering maths circles across the UK.
This show is brought to you in partnership with John Catt Educational, publishers of professional development books and resources that support great teaching and learning in schools around the world. Don't miss out. Level up your professional development today and visit johncattbookshop.com to explore the full range of titles. Use the code JCTTR2425 for 20% off your order.
This is Teachers Talk Radio, and this is Teachers Talk Radio News.
Sky News covers a story about behaviour at schools in Wales. It says that according to Estyn, the school's inspectorate for Wales, some parents are unsupportive of tackling poor behaviour. But the article goes on to say that the Welsh Government says it is committed to addressing the issue. The article reports that from the 24 secondary and all-age schools Estyn visited during the last year, nearly all of them noted a degree of difficulty in engaging with some parents. The Welsh Government said it was looking to address declining behaviour in schools and colleges. In the Inspectorate's national survey, many staff described a few parents as unsupportive and sometimes undermining staff by excusing poor behaviour. The main issues identified by staff were low-level disruption, defiance and truancy, and poor behaviours outside of lessons, including vaping, use of mobile phones and damage to school property. When presented with concerns about the child's poor behaviour, a few parents displayed aggressive behaviour towards school leaders and staff, the report said. Most school leaders who responded to Estyn's national survey said the overall support from the Welsh Government and other agencies in dealing with challenging behaviour was inadequate, and that schools were having to use limited budget to provide their own behavioural support. Estin has recommended an update to national behaviour guidance. The Welsh Government said it welcomed the report and that it would be discussing these points further at a behaviour summit due later in May. Standard reports that the Educational Institute of Scotland Union is to consult members on possible strike action over a dispute regarding class contact time. The union claims the Scottish Government has failed to deliver on its 2022 promise to address teachers' increasing workload, having stated it would reduce maximum class contact time in schools to 21 hours per week. The union claims neither the Scottish Government nor local authorities have made any proposals on tackling this issue. EIS has announced it will open a consultative ballot at its AGM next month. A new project to strengthen collaboration between universities and businesses and others to drive growth and create jobs in the northeast of England has received £8.9 million from Research England. The 5-year programme involves Durham, Newcastle, Northumbria, Sunderland and Teesside universities and is intended to grow the North East's capacity and capability to commercialise impactful university research. Professor Karen O'Brien, Vice-Chancellor and Warden of Durham University, said, "The project will be a game changer." Over the 5 years, the project will deliver in 7 areas, focused on addressing specific opportunities and barriers to expanding the commercialisation of university research across the region. Research England is investing a total of £30 million in 4 regional projects. Full details of the UK Government's announcement of the projects can be found on the .gov.uk website. Finally, the BBC reports that tens of thousands of GCSE students will get their grades in an app on their phones during this summer's results day. The government is trialling the Education Record app, with 95,000 students in Manchester and the West Midlands ahead of the national rollout. Ministers say they hope it will save money for college admissions teams, but school leaders say students and schools will need support to ensure the app works properly. Students involved in the pilot will still be able to go to school to get their paper results, the traditional way. In Scotland, pupils have been able to get results online since 2019. Education Minister Stephen Morgan said it was high time exam records were brought into the 21st century. Unions have also welcomed the trial, but noted it was crucial that government gets this absolutely right. More comment and reactions from school staff and pupils can be found on the BBC News website. This has been Teachers Talk Radio News with Joe Fox.
Welcome back to Teachers Talk Radio. If you are just joining us, we've been diving deep into the power of action research with our brilliant guests, Philip and Neha. Before the break, we explored how teachers can harness curiosity and reflection to drive real change. Now, let's turn our attention to what it actually looks like in schools and how this practice can go beyond classroom to influence whole school cultures. So, Philip, you and Neha, both of you, I think you've seen action research implemented at scale across many schools. And I just wanted to draw the listeners' attention to what different schools where action research becomes embedded in culture versus those where it remains as a one time project. I think, Philip, you're on mute. I'll
I
just
think
unmute you.
I think
Yeah,
your
now,
system. Yeah,
yes.
I'm not on mute. Am I on mute? Shall I
Yeah, you
start?
were unmuted. I just unmuted you. Tell me.
Okay. Yes. So I only know what I can see, and I think however many teachers are doing action research in the schools, like whether it's 100 versus one, obviously I think they're all important. But I think that I think the future should be, and it's not even rocket science. It's not reinventing the wheel. It's literally just doing things like I've said before. Doing action research is doing something that they already do, but it's the collaboration and actually instead of looking inward, looking outward, seeing what everybody else is doing and looking to see what they can also take on from what they're doing. So that would be the micro, like doing it within their school,
Mm-hmm.
having highlighting action research. Again, people do PD. Like when I remember when I was a teacher, we'd have our PD session on a Wednesday at 3 when everyone was really tired. But the PD happens every day, and my point is just having at least an inward system where you do that, and then outward you'd have this kind of ecosystem of schools all doing action research, and my ideal situation would be everybody doing that, and then just talking to each other about how that's all worked. So yeah, it for me it's really I think I said it at the beginning. It's really an awakening of the power of action research and how it only takes these small changes to make this big impact.
Yeah, but I think you drawing your like our attention towards more on discussion, communication, and making sure that even if you're doing it, it is it's collaborative. So
Yes.
as you mentioned that earlier, so I think even if schools have it as a culture or it's a one-time project, it depends on how the school is getting everyone involved in it.
Yes. Well, yeah, exactly. And in this conference that we've got, like you've got individuals doing their projects, but people come to me saying, "Oh, can I do it as a collaboration?" Absolutely. And we've got people that we've got whole science departments doing a collaboration because they're all trying the same thing across different
Phases.
sets, yes, at different fields, different year 8 groups, and all of that. Well, that's important and that's powerful. Yeah, of course, do that. Do the thing that you think is going to make a difference. I'm not there to put my foot down about that. I'm there to empower people and make sure that they can do that. There's no real limit or no ceiling at all with regards to it.
And Neha, how important is leadership to like support in sustaining a teacher's action research journey? What would you want to say on that?
That's a
Does it really matter, and does it have an impact?
I mean, I come from a place of privilege where I've always had very supportive leaders, and I've always had very supportive managers. So I can always say that I've always been elevated in my practice and been allowed to take risks and been allowed to make mistakes. And I would encourage everybody, but not everybody is in that situation. We need to recognise that people can be in jobs where they are not allowed to do that, and that's where, as I said before, these external things need to be in place, and people need to know that they need to have somewhere to turn to. So, in an ideal world, yes, senior leaders should allow people to make mistakes. They should allow people to look inwards and actually reflect on that mistake, and also discuss their own mistakes, because that's what we do day by day. Because we don't learn unless we
Mm-hmm.
make mistakes. We're not perfect.
Absolutely. Yes, Neha, I think you were also saying something.
Yeah, well, I really agree to what Philip just said. That it's a flexibility. Even most of the schools now in Dubai or in UAE have been very flexible about this. This is not the personal projects. For some teachers, yes, they do it on their own individual basis. Uh, some schools now, most of the schools are really encouraging for action research. It is like a PD session, like where Wednesday or Tuesday you collaborate with your teachers across, you share the practices, you data record, you see how much it have really impacted, being impactful on you and your teachers. So this is how it really helps. It's not something extra we're doing it. It's not something which is very burden on end. It's just something good practices we are doing it across the school. That's it. So yeah, like Phillips even also said that we have to recognize there are places where there have been restrictions, but like even I'm being very flexible. My school have been very flexible in terms of doing an action research across the school. So That's
That's great to know. And as you mentioned, I'm sure most of the schools around here do give the leeway or freedom to teachers to go ahead with their action research topics. But finally, I want to talk about the elephant in the room, that is the time. Educators often struggle to find time for deeper inquiry. And what strategies or mindset shift help teachers stay consistent with their research work? If you could suggest some ideas. Also, when Philip, you mentioned that you have PD sessions on like Wednesday afternoon when literally teachers are tired. So
Mm,
I would also want your take on when should an ideal PD session take place.
yeah. It's, yeah, like I said, if we had that kind of silver bullet, then you wouldn't be have to ask that question. It is very, very difficult.
Yeah.
And I don't have the big answer. I mean, it's, it all comes with the small change in the beginning. And again, going back to to our own action research network, you can just come to one or two of our sessions and meet with some of the teachers and see if this is for you,
Mm-hmm.
and just meet with other people at in one and although it says it's an hour, when I do my Zoom calls, they're generally about 30-40 minutes. So we can do that, and that again, that will still take up people's time, but that's one way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
um and then, or yeah, just going to some group and just looking at different literature and making some kind of effort to just make that tiny little bit extra effort to look at these issues in your classroom and find somebody else. I mean, yeah, just find somebody in your school to talk to and just think about it in that kind of um, context. Just trying to collaborate with somebody, because that's really where it starts: collaboration and bouncing ideas off each other.
Mm-hmm. Any thoughts from you, Neha? Neha, I think you're muted. Yes, Neha, are you there? I think not. We can't hear you. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you, Neha.
Hello.
Yeah, yeah. So, like just now, we had discussed that it is a collaborative space where teachers share their practices. So, it's not one person thing, I believe, yes, to which I agree 100%. It's not one person thing, it's a whole teachers who are really willing to try some new strategies across the school come forward and share their practices. And we do share the shifts. Like, if suppose one teacher is trying this tool, they come up and talk about, let's say, science department, they do try this tool which really works well, then they come up and share during the end of the PD session, I mean weekly or fortnightly. They come and fortnightly they come and say that this is what we have done and this is what had really impacted on students. So that's how we share within the schools, and that becomes itself a research action research plan, and then that's how things go well. So yeah, it really has to, yeah, like he said, we have to put some extra efforts. Like, we do have to attend some meetings, we need to do collaborations, we need to attend sessions to understand what is going around across other schools and educators. It's a part of learning. Again, we do it online, we do research as teacher, we do when we are talking or when we are teaching a concept, we do have to research those concepts to our students before ahead. I have to, as a teacher, make sure that I'm fully equipped with all my resources, that where I'm doing already the research. So why not on strategies, why not on student learning outcomes? So it's all about just the same thing again, that we are doing same thing, just only a little effort. Once
Mm.
you put on, that will really have impact. When it is impacting, it's for our student benefits.
So I think the key here is if even I want to manage the time or put in efforts, it's the collaboration that really helps.
Yeah.
As you said, that the moment you discuss it with someone and you find that the same thing could be taken care by another cohort of teachers or a phase, as Philip also mentioned. So these collaborative discussions are something that will support each other and take the action research to a different level.
Yeah, and here's the thing: if someone wants to do that within their school, contact me, and we're not gonna be a rival.
Yeah.
I will help you. Like we are University of Birmingham are a civic institution, which means that we're there to help the community. And if you want to do that within your school, we will help and we'll make it
That's
happen.
amazing, Philip. That's so nice.
Right, quick plug for the
For our
university.
yes, yes, Philip.
Quick plug for the university and obviously the conference, which is the 24th of May at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
See you there.
So finally, coming towards the end of the show, any advice would you give to the listeners listening right now who's curious but maybe unsure about starting an action research? Just your final advice.
Well, mine is if you're a teacher, you're already doing it. So it's just a way of kind of refining it and making it even better than you're already doing it because you're already changing lives as a teacher. Everybody remembers their teachers, the good ones, the medium ones, but you're already making a change. So why not even make it better?
And Neha?
Yeah, I would really say that most importantly, share your learning, whether it is with one colleague or a wider audience, or your voice and experience can really inspire a real change across the educators and your students. So, because when teachers lead inquiry, we don't just improve practice, we transform it. So, that's what I believe.
Thank you, Philip and Neha, for such a powerful and thought provoking conversation. Today reminded us that reflection isn't just a pause, it's a powerful step forward. To all the educators listening, you are researchers, according to our guests, change makers, and voices that matter. Keep asking, keep exploring, and most importantly, keep believing in your impact, in your students, and the student outcomes. Until next time, this is Famida on Teachers Talk Radio, signing off.
Thank you, Famida.
Thank you, Famida. Bye.
You've been listening to Teachers Talk Radio. Tune in live and listen back at ttradio.org. We look forward to hearing from you next time on Teachers Talk Radio.